Hey guys, welcome to another video with Coach Evan. Today we're going to be going on the defensive positions on the side of the football field. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance for this little bit of glare here on the screen, and on top of that, if there's a little bit of an echo in the room. I'm coming to you from UW Parkside, beautiful campus here in Kenosha, Wisconsin. It's actually where I'm getting a college degree right now, so I thought let's utilize all my money when we're going to our tuition. So, as I said before, we're going through the defensive positions today. Defensive positions of the ball are a lot different than the offensive side of the ball. The offensive side of the ball is broken down bit by bit by bit, whereas it's kind of just one solid line or three solid lines of a defense. It looks something like this. It's just one line, two lines, three lines. It's like a three lines of defense. And I'm sorry I just put that in the glare. But that's kind of how the defense works. So your first line is the one that's going to go up against the offensive line, which is the tackle, the guard, and the center, like we covered in our previous video on offense. So these two are going to be your defensive line. And I'll put that up for you right here. And on the defensive line, we have the DE, which stands for defensive end. Those are your major pass rushers. Those are your guys, the J.J. Watts. If you want to look back in history, your Reggie Whites, those kinds of guys. Those are the major sack producers in the NFL, especially because it's the design to get those big speed or bull rushers off the edge to really go attack the quarterback. Whereas DT means defensive tackle. Now, those kinds of guys are more of your run stoppers. Those guys, that doesn't mean they can't rush the passer so much, but they're going to be much more of a run stuffer because they're in the middle of the defensive line. In history, that'd be a Joe Green. Right now, if you want to look for defensive tackles, you look at Aaron Donald on the LA Rams, or you look at Fletcher Cox in Philadelphia, or even go to Minnesota. They've got like 6 of them. I'm a big Minnesota Viking fan, so I know that that's our bread and butter is the defensive line right now. But these guys are your first line of defense on defense. It's kind of how the defense is built. Your second line of defense is your linebackers. And your linebackers are your second line right here. So I'll put a 1 there for defensive line. And I'll put a 2 here for our linebackers. And so with linebackers, these are the guys that most likely have the most responsibility on the field, and it's one of the harder positions to learn because you really have to break everything down piece by piece. Now you'll see here that there's an MLW, a WLB, or MLW, MLB, WLB, and SLB, the way I like to do it. I'm also going to throw in here just an OLB, and that'll be explained right after I get to these two. But I'll start here with MLB. This is one of the times we actually get to use the term middle. This is your middle linebacker. The middle linebacker, a lot of the time, is your boss on defense. They're the guys that are making all the defensive calls going forward. Maybe the defensive backs have something different, but middle linebackers are the ones calling out things in the formations and everything that you're doing. My opinion, greatest of all time, going to be Ray Lewis, Dick Butkus, Mike Singletary. They were incredibly smart players, but they could smash you in the mouth too. They can rush the quarterback, they can cover receivers out of the backfield, or a tight end, or even receiver at times if they have to. Middle linebackers are kind of your centerpiece of your defense, traditionally speaking. Then you have WLB and SLB. Your WLB is called the weak side linebacker. A weak side linebacker is going to cover just that, the weak side of the field. And the weak side of the field is based upon the offensive formation. And I'm going to cover this a little bit more in detail later. But if this is the weak side linebacker, I think you can figure this out. SLB is your strong side linebacker. And those guys are going to be more versatile because they can probably rush the quarterback less, So they have to be able to cover. Those are the guys that, weak side linebacker is going to be more of a Von Miller type, who's going to rush. A strong side linebacker is going to be the guy that takes the tight end or takes a running back outside of the field, because they have to be more of a coverage guy, which lets the middle linebacker get more tackles because they don't have as much responsibilities. Which just leads me to this, OLB. So if you have a middle linebacker, you have an outside linebacker. Outside linebacker is more of a term that's kind of losing its luster in today's game, just because people really like to specify strong or weak side or edge rushers, which are completely different positions that I'm not going to cover today. But outside linebacker is really just these two guys. But that's not how we're going to cover it so much, so that's why I always specify first and then just say, if you see this, that's an outside linebacker. Now, sorry to cut across the screen here, but this is your third line of defense. These are the guys that are going to cover receivers. So starting with CB, that's a cornerback. The cornerback is kind of on an island to themselves. A cornerback today that you're going to see is a Richard Sherman type. You go back, Deion Sanders. Corners are the guys right now, especially in the NFL, that are tasked with covering receivers and just saying they're not going to catch a ball all day long. So that's a cornerback. They play kind of on an island out to themselves. They're all the way on the outside of a defensive formation. Then you have safeties. Your safeties are like this. If we learned from before, S is going to say strong, at least on the defensive side of the ball. So we're going to have a strong safety, and then we're going to have a free safety. So what happens is a strong safety is going to be closer to the defensive line and the offensive formation. They're going to be the guys that are going to be helping run support, or they're going to be the guys covering maybe a tight end if a linebacker doesn't take him, or an extra receiver. They have very versatile jobs. Whereas a free safety is going to be the guy that's going to make the big plays because they have less responsibility and they can go help where it's needed, or they can just go track the ball down. So as I said before, this is your third line of defense, and I'm just going to put this over here right now. These are your defensive backs, and I hope this is going to be in frame right now. And I'll just scooch this over here. Defensive backs, hooray. So you can barely see it, but it's there. Sorry, I tried to spread everything out for you guys today. But that's your third line of defense. Over here is your defensive backs. So that's really how we break down a defense. We start here with line one, your defensive line. They're going to go up against the offensive line, try to attack the quarterback. Two, they're your middle linebackers, or your linebackers, I should say. They're going to go out and going to do really whatever they need to do, but they're most of your tackle generators because they're closer to the position and they're more athletic than a defensive lineman. Then you're going to go to your defensive backs, your last line of defense. Those guys are going to really make sure no receiver is going to catch a ball downfield and avoid the big play that could be made on the outsides of the field. But that's going to be doing it all for our defensive positions for the day. And I want to thank you once again for coming onto YouTube, watching my videos. It's always very, very appreciated. Go check out my new website. It has launched, just coachevandavies.com, and you can link right to Instagram and a bunch of other stuff and find really cool things about all of my classes, both football and other sports. But in the meantime, in between time, I'll see you later. Bye-bye.